Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy SoSo, in case you ain't know so, and welcome back to another dope episode of Sports with SoSo. Coming to you live, y'all. This week, the Heat are stuck in neutral as they can't get out of the 7th seed. The Hurricanes basketball season is over, but them boys had a great run. The Marlins get off to a terrible start to start the season, and UFC 287 is in Miami, and your boy SoSo is gonna be in the building. It's time to take a ride, y'all. Let's go! Yes, sir. What's going on, player? I'm gonna start calling you Mr. International, like Pitbull.
Don't do that, dog. It's Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide, you're right.
Don't be
right.
disrespectful, kid.
Right.
Oh my God, tired, bro. Tired. Traveling is fun, but it's very tiring.
Hey, now you know how I feel sometimes.
I don't know how you do it, dog. You're always in Brazil or California.
Always,
which are like two of the furthest places. I feel like you're always in one of those two places, dog. And they're so far away that it's like, God, I commend you for being able to sit through all that travel, man.
I mean, you get used to it, bro. You know,
it's rough.
It's rough. It's definitely not for everybody. You know, you got to be in a good amount of shape to be able to run to a plane sometimes.
Or
you know,
just in a good mental space to not go ballistic on somebody.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
For sure.
Leading the seat too fast, you know?
Bro, imagine. You know what I mean? Imagine you just paid $18 for a freaking drink and you put it down on the tray.
Spills everywhere. Or you're trying to, you know, before one of my pet peeves is like you're waiting, you know what I mean? Like you're waiting for people to like get off the plane.
Right.
So like you're just sitting down waiting for basically your row to be next to get up and unload.
Yeah.
But then you got these people that fucking get up and, you know, crowd the aisle.
It's always the guy all the way in the back, dog. At least say something before you do it, dog. You know,
like, I got a connecting flight in 20 minutes. I got to make it.
I gotta get off.
Everybody's going to part if you say that.
Everybody will get out of the way, dog.
But then you get like 40 people behind and they're like,
yeah,
take advantage.
Jerks,
I hate
man.
those people.
Hate those people big time, man. Hate those people big time. You know what? It's time to talk about the Heat, dog. And for me, it's been a very, very disappointing season, right? And even the last stretch of games, Joel, the fact that we still haven't been able to put a 3-game winning streak together for the entire season, dog, with 4 games left, like, that's crazy, dog. That's crazy. Granted, we're going to finish above 500, you know, all things going well, but I don't think going 500 was the goal for this year, dog. And we've come up big time short, dog. Especially when we're still stuck, like I said, you know, in that 7th seed. And no matter what happens in the rest of with the teams in front of us, Cleveland, New York, Brooklyn, we're stuck and we don't find ways to take advantage. You lose 106-92 in Toronto on the road. No Jimmy Butler, neck issues, slept wrong, whatever. But with that, it just shows you how much Jimmy is of a factor here, right? That he leaves the lineup and the performance of everybody else goes down the drain, dog. Wild. And that's not something that, we saw last year, right? Because last year we saw Jimmy miss a significant amount of time, right? And every time he did so, the team still kind of held its own, right? They were able to win games, you know, staying competitive in games, put a streak together, 2-3 wins, you know, without Jimmy Butler, 6-5 wins. But now it's like Jimmy leaves and it's nobody remembers how to play ball. And that game in itself was kind of whack, dog. You know, you have a good night from Hero. He ends up with 33 points.
For nothing.
But like we talked about, he puts a beautiful stat line together, and it's hard to hate on a performance like that. But he had 1 free throw. Dog had 1 free throw, scored 33 points. Jimmy would have like fucking 12 free throws.
Which impacts the game more so, you know. I think, you know, 25 points, but 10 of them being free throws versus 33 or 32 straight up points.
Right.
Is going to be a better result because of the fact that you're controlling the game. You're controlling the tempo. You're controlling the pace. You're making them, you know, commit to certain plays and drawing fouls. You know what I mean? So now they're in trouble. They got a substitute. You're able to ball on their main guys and their subs.
Now you're just picking the matchups. Now you're in control of the matchups, right? And they say, I'm going to put Bam against this second tier defender who's not going to be able to hold him down, right? And even in that game, in the Toronto game, Bam did his thing. He was kind of in a slump, had a couple of rough games, hasn't really looked like himself since the All-Star break. But
he hasn't. And I saw a post today kind of putting up, I don't know, maybe it was the Heat. Yeah, putting up his numbers for the throwing his name in the hat for a candidacy, I don't know, for maybe MVP or defensive player MVP. And it's like, he's been fantastic, but as of recently, what happened? Like, why does Bam go through these certain slumps is the question.
And why are the slumps so wavering, like so big of a difference in the performance? You're not talking about, I'm in a slump and now I'm averaging 3 less points, maybe 4 less points. Bam in a slump, he's averaging 8, 9 less points. You know what I mean? And that's stuff that you're like, yo, that's pure effort, because you can get to the free throw line whenever you want to, right? So having 12, 15 points should be the worst night of your career type shit.
Do you think it's mental?
For sure. I'm not saying that he's not mature enough, but I don't think he's hardened enough, right? Like a real NBA vet. He's still learning that, 5th year in the league, 4th year in the league, and we've seen the evolution of Bam, and it's going to continue to get better, no doubt, right? His talent is just that nasty. But it takes a little bit of, I don't know, life experiences, right? For you to get that type of dog in you, to have that type of realization of the moment, to be aware of what is needed by you or what people are depending on you for. And I don't think he's at that level yet. Is the talent there? Without a doubt, because nobody can tell me that Bam is not a top 10 talent in the NBA. Nobody can tell me that, because he's an undersized center who's athletic as hell, can shoot the ball and defend every single position on the floor. Relax. There's not that many guys doing that. And the guys doing that, guess what? They're MVP candidates. So we know what Bam's talent level is like. This game was a good show of that. 21 points, 7 of 18, had 12 rebounds, 5 offensive rebounds. Shot the free throw well. Those are things that Bam can do every single night. He just has to put in that effort. The good thing is that only him and Hero did put in that effort.
Again, another wasted performance.
A wasted performance, dog, because nobody else even had double figures that game. And that's just that. I'm like, how? When guys like Duncan are getting minutes, Lowry are getting minutes, Caleb Martin are getting minutes, Strus getting minutes. All of that because Jimmy's not on the court. You know what I'm saying? So obviously none of those guys are good enough to take all of Jimmy minutes or even a good portion of them. Nah, they're all going to share that. And even in those, given opportunities, none of them had a chance to shine. And that just reiterates how this Heat season has gone. If it's not for a good Jimmy night, a good Hero night, a good Bam night, you're not really going to get much else from the bench. We got Kevin Love, shot horribly that game. Was able to bounce back in the next game, against the Knicks. He shot a lot better, but that was probably his best game as a Heat. And it sucks that it comes in a losing performance. You lose 101-92, again, back-to-back games, right?
And that's a boring game because we just never were in it, and it sucks to see because the Knicks, we need to beat the Knicks. This is a team we've always beaten. We've always been able to beat.
It's not even that, Jay. It's
and they're ahead of us. We need the positioning. We need the seeding. We need to beat the Knicks. So seeing that, bro, like that's just extremely frustrating.
I mean, they started off a little bit hot, right? First quarter was really good for them.
Sure.
And then they just allowed New York to get back into the game. They controlled it.
Over and over again all season.
All season, right? New York takes control of the second quarter, go into halftime with an 8-point lead. He come out, and usually we're a good team when we come out of the halftime break, right? Third quarter is usually our quarter. We have really good shooting performances. Sure. Somebody catches fire. Had a good third quarter. Ended in the quarter 38-28. A couple of runs heading into the fourth, and then the fourth quarter comes. And then we get outscored 25-16.
And we can't close out.
And it's not even getting closing out. It's just like you're not even a threat to Toronto, to the Knicks. They're basically playing basic D on you, letting us shoot, getting the rebound, running down the court, getting easy buckets. That's that worst type of defense is the shit that gets me mad, because that should be the basics for this team. You look at the squad and you're like, all right, maybe nobody's talented offensively, but defensively for what they can offer, everybody should be on the plus side here, because that's how the Heat built this team basically defense first. But not even that, dog. You know, Caleb Martin is probably the only guy that I give a break to. Everybody else that I name on that bench, Lowry, Oladipo, Strus, Duncan, all of those guys, trash. Been like an entire season of trash. That Pat Riley and fucking what's his other dude's name? Andy Ellisberg. These dudes are gonna have to whip up some tremendo magical cooking to get rid of these guys. Some of them are options. Kevin Love is an option. I think Strus is also an option, whether we keep him or not. But we have to be looking at this team for the next phase, because currently, as it stands, this phase is not going to work out for us.
I was talking to one of my boys today, and we were talking about the Dolphins, and, because he was like, oh, Aaron Rodgers now with the Jets, that makes him dangerous. A whole other conversation we're not going to get into right now.
Get out of here.
I told him I wasn't worried about that situation or the Dolphins specifically.
Right.
I told him I was more worried about the Heat. And he was like, oh, but yeah, I'm not worried about the Heat because I know this season we're not going to, do anything or whatever. I go, yeah, that's not what I'm worried about. I think we all kind of see the writing on the wall.
For sure.
It's looking like a first-round exit, if we
make it out the play-in. If we make it out.
And I told him, I go, it's not so much about that. It's about the future. What's next? Seeing what could have been already the peak of this particular Heat unit. We have a couple pieces. Everybody knows that are the mainstays. Jimmy's clock is ticking. What are we going to do next year to get the most out of the rest of his talents?
In my opinion, bro, you gotta kind of take the blueprint from the Dolphins right now and say, I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm going to trade whoever it takes. And I'm going to make moves. And I'm going to find guys that want to be here. I'm going to find guys that are dying to get some exposure, dying to be in a different city, and I'm going to make it happen. That's the only way, dog. That's the only way. Now, how that happens, trade possibilities, salary cap, this guy, that guy, that's a whole nother show, right? That's a whole show in itself. But the point is, there's no way that Pat Riley and company are looking towards next season and saying, yeah, we could kind of do it with the pieces that we have here. That much is so not the truth here. And the reality is showing that. Because even in the game that we won against Dallas, 129-122, at home, no Bam, Jimmy had to go all out.
Why was Bam out that game?
I think he had
back problems. That was when I was out.
I think he had back problems or some shit.
I saw that headline and I was like, great, here comes a third straight loss.
Yeah, and it would have been that. It would have been that had it not been for Jimmy. Jimmy was Mr. Fourth Quarter again. 12 of 16 from the field, hit a 3, 10 of 11 from the free throw line, had, 12 assists, out there balling, doing everything. Everything that could be done. This dude, Jimmy Butler, did it that game. And even still, that's us withstanding a 42-pointer from Luka. Hardaway Jr. had 31 points, Kyrie 23 points. Like, their guys went off that they needed to. And we were able to withstand that on the strength of Jimmy. On the strength of Jimmy's game.
Without our best defender.
Yeah. And that showed.
That's because so weird, dog. Like that's why we can't figure out this team.
Nah, I mean, it's very evident, Joel. The defense sucks here, dog. We gave up a season high 61% field goal percentage to Dallas. Them boys were shooting it the lights out, dog. Again, if it wasn't for Jimmy controlling the pace of the game in the fourth quarter, getting to the free throw line, if it's not him doing that, there's no way we win that game. And then now you're talking about a 3-game losing streak and how you're falling even more in the playoff seeding. They're stuck in neutral, dog. Big time. And that shit sucks because at any moment that hill is going to get a lot steeper and it's going to roll them out.
I'll tell you this much, man. It's gotten to the point, granted, again, we're still in the playoff picture. We're 500 and all that, but like we're so spoiled as Heat fans for a certain level of, what we're going to get from this Heat team or these Heat teams in general that it's gotten so bad now to the point where I've had certain people ask me, or tell me, not even ask me, tell me their frustrations about Coach Spo and Pat Riley. And that's something that I really haven't heard as a Heat fan. It's always been like, how are they going to outdo themselves this time? And so far, now there's been like this crazy regression in the team and the play and what we're getting that now it's like people are panicking and it's like, all right, not just the team, like what's going on upstairs?
Yeah, for sure. But I think that's built on the expectations of championships. And it's a good problem to have. It's a big problem. I'm not saying it's a big problem, but it's a good problem to have, because that just means that the level of expectation from your fan base, right, and everybody buying season tickets, buying the suites, paying for the advertisements, the jersey sponsors and all that shit, they're getting some type of bigger return on their product than any other team that they would, right? Because you guys are the Miami Heat and you have this great fan base. But we're a winning town. And if you're not winning games, if you're not winning championship, if you're not winning playoff games, then yeah, it makes it hard. Even last year, bro, like last year it got on and popping, dog. Like people were going to every single playoff game. It was a sellout. It was packed. You know, the energy in there was amazing. But if you go to a playoff game this season, right, and it's a play-in tournament, I don't think you're going to get that energy, because the fans don't have that expectation or the sense that this team can actually go out there and win the game, or go out there and win playoff games. Right? Not get a first round sweep, which is a very, very real possibility, dog.
I think we don't get swept. I don't think we get swept.
Hey,
you know, we got Jimmy, and Jimmy at least will have one game where like this, you know what I mean, where they have a performance, but he's gonna control the game and all that stuff. But I don't feel good about this team going into the playoffs, having to play a 7-game series.
No,
there's nothing that feels confident going into
even a 5-game series,
especially looking at the teams that we would have to face. Any one of the teams that we would have to face.
But that's what I'm saying, Joel, that the sweep is a very real possibility, dog, because we've seen Jimmy for the time that he's been here, dog. He's given us crazy performances, dog. Last year against the Celtics, in that game set, dog. He went off, and we still lost. And that team was way better than this team is right now. So, yeah, dog, a sweep is a very real possibility. Even with Jimmy giving it his all, dog. Bam would have to ball out, step up, right? Which is something that we've talked about as far as him needing to do to get to that next level, right? Same shit with Hero. He needs to perform continuously in the playoffs, win or lose the series, whatever, dog. You need to be doing you. Forget, if you're not going to get free throws, you better be making all those threes. You better be putting up 35 points. You better be putting up 28 points. That's just the level of expectation. So, of course, it's going to multiply when it hits Spo and it hits Pat Riley. But I think that those guys are very aware of how the team is, right? And they're just trying to push towards that end of the line and say, let's squeeze everything that we can out of this fucking team. But next year is definitely going to be about making moves. We know that Pat is already alluded to that before, and I'm sure when the season is over and he has that post conference or press conference with all the writers and shit, I have no doubt that he's going to address the needs of this team. He may not say it, blatantly, but he'll use his Pat Riley talk to jump into that. This team is obviously in need of upgrades, Joel. Obviously. There's no way that it's so common to you and I, right, or so easy to spot to the common Heat fan that these guys upstairs don't notice it. For sure they notice it. They feel the pressure. They notice the decline in sales. They notice the decline, in attendance. They notice that shit. Like, why do you think they planned all the retro shit this year? Because it would have been a great marketing scheme had this team been really good. A top 4 team. That shit would have been selling like hotcakes. Dog. Everybody would have had all the retro stuff, the jackets, which is dope. Go out and cop it anyways, if you're about that. But I'm sure that they see that as a big-time backfire. All of that shit, dog. All of that shit, because it's not coinciding with winning. And in order for it to be profitable, it needs to be winning. And we don't care about the profits, but we care about the winning. And they're definitely not getting to that. So,
we got 4 games left.
4 games left in the season.
I mean, there's a potential that we're looking at less than 10 games left in this Heat season.
3-game road trip. At Detroit on Tuesday, at Philadelphia on Thursday, back-to-back against Washington Friday night, before coming home against Orlando on Sunday.
Play-in tournament would be how many games total? If anything, 2 games?
2 games. To survive.
You're talking 4 games left.
Yep.
Right?
Potentially 5-6.
5-6, and then potentially, if we were to get swept, 4 games. That's 10 games.
Yeah.
There could potentially be 10 games left in the season.
Dog, 3-game road trip. Are we going to see a 3-game winning streak? What's your gut telling you?
Highly unlikely.
Highly unlikely. So that's a no. You look at the games and you're like, yeah, Philly doesn't really have anything to play for. Maybe they rest their players. You know, maybe we face a bad Detroit team who's the worst in the league. Get that dub. Beat Philadelphia. Give it a go against Washington. And that's it. And then come back home and win against Orlando. But still, it's like I said, dog. This team is 41 and 37. I think it should be closer to 500 than that. It's just my opinion, dog.
I agree.
Not happy with the Heat.
Not happy at all.
Let's see what happens, dog. 4 games left in the season. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, Miami basketball is kind of on a little skid right now, dog.
Yeah, Miami basketball is definitely suffering right now. Our Hurricanes, they went out to number 4 seed UConn, 72-59. Saturday night in Houston. Ended up the season 29-8. And it was rough to watch because
they were never in that game.
They were not to necessarily say they weren't in that game, but just that classic slow start and not allowing yourself to kind of quell the moment and just focus on the hoop. It felt like everybody was trying to do too much, you know, in those first 15 minutes, which coincided with them having bad shots, not making shit, getting terrible rebounds, getting blocked. And we've seen them come back from that, especially like a team like Texas, right? We saw that comeback, right? But it was very discouraging to be like, yo, this is a Final Four game, dog. We can't come out like this.
We needed to come out hot,
and UConn did. They came down and hit 4 threes on us. They didn't make any other type of shot. They made threes, but our defense was good, and we had opportunities to make buckets, right? Steals, turnovers, all this stuff. And we couldn't put it together.
That's why I say they were never in it, man. Because, they narrowed the lead down to 5, I think 5 points a couple times, you know, where it was like, all right, that's what we saw in the Texas game. It was 10, got it to 8, got it to 6, got it to 4, got it to 2, took the lead by 1. You know, we kind of thought we'd be able to do that. But UConn, I mean, there's a reason they're probably the favorite going into this final game against San Diego State. I mean, they steamrolled everybody they played as a 5 seed. They're a 5 seed, right?
4 seed.
4 seed. So, I mean, they're a team to be reckoned with. But the letdown for Miami Hurricane fans is we didn't play to the potential. You know,
Correct.
Isaiah Wong and Miller, you know, didn't have the best game. Amir didn't have his best performance. You know, it's kind of underwhelming.
No, Amir got dominated, dog. Their guy, what's his dude's name? Donovan Clingan. That guy is a giant. You know, he's a giant of a kid, dog. A big 7-footer for UConn with enough mass to not be bothered by a guy like Amir. And Amir got pretty much bullied for a good portion of the game.
And that's our guy. Exposed us. Like, that was our big man. Like, you know what I mean?
Once they took that weapon away.
We faced a real big man.
Once they took that weapon away, it was like, fuck, we got to find another way to get it. And to be honest, in my opinion, you know, I got a lot of love for Isaiah Wong. I think he's an amazing player. I think he's a great NBA talent. But I felt like he tried to do a little bit too much and carry the load, you know? It was just like I said earlier, I felt like everybody was trying to do too much in order to kick off the comeback. Instead of just really focusing on getting the best out of each possession, making the right pass, making the right time. You know what I mean? Like, just slowing down the moment.
The nerves were there, man. You're talking, what is it, like 50,000 fans at that game?
Showed, man. 25% in the first half we shot, dog.
That's, you know what I mean? That's a big stage, dog. You know, you can tell those boys were a little anxious out there.
Yeah. And again, to see our main weapon, Amir, go down, 8 points, 7 rebounds, that's like a bad day for him, you know, a real bad day. But that just shows you how Clingan's and Sanogo's size was really bothering him and taking him out of the play. We also struggled, you know. They made 3-point shots and we didn't make any 3-point shots. So we couldn't make shit from 3, though.
Nothing. It was brutal, man. And you know, it just leaves a bad taste in your mouth, especially after the run they had. You know, you watch this team all season long, seeing what they've been able to do. You know, they faced adversity, they've been able to overcome it, and it's like, yeah, UConn beat us, so they are the better team. But man, I think that game should have been a little bit, closer to what that San Diego State FAU game was.
It should have
a
been
buzzer beater, last second shot. You know what I mean? Like that would have did like I think these teams. You know what I mean? It should have came to that, and it was
been a lot closer.
We never were in it.
No. Again, I disagree with the never in it. We made runs to be in it, but we didn't have the composure. We didn't have the poise to sustain that, right? Because truth be told, had we played even a fractionally better, yeah, maybe we still lose, but it's not 72-59.
That's my point.
It's 78-64, 78-60. 78 to 69, something like that, where it's much closer, and maybe they pull away at the end because we start to foul and then make free throws, and that's how the game. But the game was close.
Right.
We did make the game close, but we didn't know how to hold on to that moment. I felt like everything was just too much for these guys. And you said, maybe it's just the experience and the expectations of coming from a program who really doesn't love basketball or school that's not known for it. And then having to make history by making the Final Four and being a part of that squad. Like, yeah, you want to do so much as a player and continue to make that history, right? And yeah, I think for the future, it'll bode much better for this team, but the moment got away from them, it was that evident, dog. And props to UConn because they played a really good game.
They did, absolutely did. But either way, man, props to this Canes team, like you said, historic run. I mean, not a basketball school, and now they've solidified that they are. That they can be. My question to you is, who's coming back?
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, for sure, Isaiah Wong and Miller are heading to the NBA draft, right?
Confirmed?
I'm not confirmed. They'll make their own announcements, but both of those guys have NBA ready talent. That any team would love to get those guys and be like, yeah, we're going to develop you, Papo. Get ready to either try to make this team or we're going to put you in the G League, but you're coming right back. So get ready. Jordan Miller's size in its own is like a real rare thing. He's a big guy, lefty, athletic, big enough to defend, moves like a guard, can shoot really well. Yeah, those guys are rare in the NBA. So GMs are always looking for that, right? Left-handed players, basketball that are small forwards, with nasty wingspans. Of course you're looking for that. So those guys are definitely heading to the NBA. But you got Omer, Poplar, Nigel Pack, Anthony Walker, even Beverly Joseph. Like all those guys are sophomores, I think one junior. And they have the opportunity to come back. And if I was them, I would, because that Coach L is going to put you in a position where you could win. Right? He's going to teach you things, and he's also going to always try to make the team the best it can be. And we've already seen him win in the transfer portal. So there's no doubt in my mind that these guys already have targets to kind of replace these guys and be like, yo, let's keep the ball rolling here. Where we take an advantage of this opportunity that we've been given, where we have all these eyes on us. Let's continue to win, make it a good product, right? And as soon as people get hooked to it and it comes around and we're heading to March Madness tournaments, yeah, people are going to buy in. For me, I think if those guys that I mentioned that have the possibility to come back, you're already talking about a team that's favored in the ACC to not only win the ACC, but go into the ACC tournament and win the ACC championship. That's something that the school hasn't done in football or basketball for a real long time. How about never? So if you're looking at it that way, yeah, this team has a much more realistic possibility to get to that level. Trust in Coach L. Trust in Coach L that he's going to bring these guys back and continue to add to it, man.
Nah, you could definitely trust in Coach L.
He's been a great addition to the school.
What he's done just in the last 2 years, it's amazing.
He's a legendary man. Obviously, he's a legendary coach, and we're beyond lucky to have a guy like him here down in Miami, dog, because he's such a difference maker. Such a difference maker.
Well, we're not in it, but the final game
is tonight.
So the results will be out by the time anybody listens or watches this.
Yep. I'm kind of hoping that UConn wins, man. It would be nice to see that program
I don't think
back
San
on top.
Diego State has a chance.
I don't think they should. Yeah, you never know. They play good defense. And that'll take you a long way. But I think that the size of Sanogo and Klingen, those dudes are massive, dog. Big kids. And they know how to play the paint well. So if they can shut out my guy, I have no problem them seeing them and shut down San Diego State, but it's all about how good San Diego State plays defense, in my opinion. I still got UConn winning, though.
Yeah. Yeah, and I also, if you know me, which I think you do, you know that I'm going to go for the team that knocked us out. So
absolutely,
that at least we can be like, you know what, we lost to the eventual champs.
Yeah, it's
you have that argument on your side
always. But you know what, we got to talk about the bracket too, dog.
Well, I mean, I don't want to talk about the bracket because I didn't win the bracket, dog.
Oh, who won the bracket?
I mean, I think everybody's talking about it, bro.
Everybody's talking about it?
Yeah, they text me. They said that you rigged it. Like,
oh, no way, dog.
How convenient is it that you win your own bracket?
Number one, I make a bracket when everybody had opportunities to make multiple brackets. And, you and I said it. We were going to be homers and pick the Hurricanes the entire way. Like, we weren't caring about, like, winning the damn thing, dog. Like, were you wanting to win? No, we wanted somebody else.
I did. That's why I picked the Hurricanes to win.
Stop. We want somebody else to win, dog. And but we're still going to give away the amazing gift. I'm going to announce it right now. It's a $50 gift card to Empire Boutique.
Yo, shout out to Empire.
That's family. And we're going to hook a winner. We're going to do an Instagram live at some point this week where we'll do a little raffle and we'll show whoever were the entrants. We're going to put everybody in there, do a little raffle, and whoever wins gets the gift card.
Dope,
courtesy
man.
of Sports with SoSo.
Super dope. Super
dope.
Yeah,
man. Got to make it happen for the people.
Love that. Thanks for everybody who participated in that.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry that, we got wronged by the host of this show.
Wronged?
And he rigged it so that he would win.
Yo,
he
somebody
probably
else
had like owner settings where he was able to go in and configure and change his bracket as it was going along.
It's never changed. It's never changed.
Nah, I'm just kidding, man. Congrats.
Thanks, dog. I usually don't win things like this, dog. It's so hard to predict this shit.
It's a good win.
And I got lucky with the Hurricanes, man. Right in the home team worked. Who would have fucking thought that FAU would have been in the Final Four, man? Come on. It was a great run for our South Florida boys, bro. They had a hell of a season. And I hope they both build on it. I know that they just re-signed the FAU coach as well.
Yeah, so he's not going nowhere.
He's not going anywhere, and he's going to be able to continue to recruit down there and build up that story. And it just makes the entire state a lot better, especially South Florida for all these kids who are athletes. One door closes, you can't play football, you go play basketball. You can't play basketball, you go play football. You go play soccer, baseball. It's always available down here, man. It's dope.
Nobody ever mentions golf.
No. I mean, we're not getting at that. We're not there yet.
Why?
Because I think that it hasn't been brought to the masses because of how the idea behind the cost is. You know what I mean? Where people think golfing that that's a rich man's sport, when in actuality it's not.
I think it's more so. I mean that's part of it, obviously, but I think it's more so because of the fact that golf is an individual sport.
Yes.
When do you see like real individual sports like besides like MMA?
No,
outside
tennis.
of MMA, like I guess tennis.
Tennis is a very individual sport, and if your kid like wrestles or does jiu-jitsu or something like that,
does tennis get like? What do you think is watched more, tennis or UFC?
Well, for sure UFC, dog. For sure UFC. But it depends on which tennis you're talking about, right? And I feel like for a majority of any sporting type events, people always tune in, or at least the general admission crowd, right? They're going to tune into the bigger spectacles. The average NFL fan is definitely watching playoffs, but the random NFL players are like, just wait for the Super Bowl. It's not games, doesn't matter, World Series, on and on finals. You get people who aren't even fans or celebrities, and they just show up to be seen. Like a bunch of people like that, and people just tune in for the socialness of it, But I think that golf is definitely on deck when it comes to seeing that, we seen the documentary with, what's the dude's name? J.R. Smith, coming out on Apple TV, kind of like documenting his return to golf and his return to school through the game of golf. I think those are things that open up the eyes to people who have never would have thought about that game to think about that game.
Oh, it's growing. It's
definitely growing, dog. Especially in the youth, man. Come on, you see it. We know a bunch of guys who are playing golf that are way younger than me, right? And I'm not that old, and definitely younger than you. So,
and the more important thing of it all is that we have the Super Bowl of golf this weekend.
Yes, sir.
I was hoping you were going to build up to that.
Let you build it up. That's your thing.
It's Masters Week, dog.
Yeah, dog.
I can hear Jim Nance right now.
Yeah, it's gonna be dope. That course is always so energetic, and not in the party sense, in just the seriousness of the moment, right? Like you could feel the energy between the players, and just the level of competition or playership that you're seeing there. It's just amazing, dog, and the crowd feeds off that.
Couple of storylines going into this week. Number one, first and foremost, We got the live players
Yep.
battling the PGA players. So there's a tournament within the tournament. So forget about the fact that this is the Super Bowl of golf. This is the most historic venue in golf. This is the most historic tournament in golf, you know, arguably. Now we have these other headlines with this competing tour and how they've been kicked out or banned from the PGA because they wanted to go, you know, make the money play and all that, but they're still allowed to play in these major tournaments like the Masters.
Right.
And they're coming back to win, you know, to try to win, which, you know, it's to set up the same goal that the PGA tries to prove, or that any organization is going to try to prove, it's who's the best player in the world.
Right.
You know, and that's where we're going to be able to see this. You know, we've been able to see some really good golf the last 3 months, first 3 months of this
Some
year.
excellent tournaments.
You know, yeah, we saw Waste Management, we saw Bay Hill, we saw, you know, some pretty good stuff in California. Innisbrook was good. You know, there's been some really good golf. But
even the match play.
Now we got the Masters, and we got everybody. I've been dying to see some Cam Smith, dog.
Yeah.
Brooks Koepka just won his individual over the weekend in Orlando at Orange County National for Live Golf, and walked away with $4 million heading into the Masters.
Yeah.
You know, we saw him on full swing. We saw how his confidence was kind of low, right? He was kind of like a jaded man. Like, man, I don't know if I have what it takes to compete anymore.
For sure, they're not testing him for steroids over there.
Real big confidence boost coming into a huge weekend like this.
No, man, absolutely. And that's a guy who when he's that confident, his game like definitely shows that off, where he can hit a bomb 350, 70 yards, you know what I mean, without a problem, where other guys are struggling to even get to 320 because of the wind or the type of, you know, boundary that it is in the Masters. There's a lot of good players in that tournament, guys who've even won that tournament, you know, so like the field having those players from Live Golf and including the best of the best that are currently still on the PGA Tour, that's how you get the best tournament. That's how you get to see, like, yo, who's really on right now, dog? Fuck these number one rankings. Who's about it right now? You know?
And that's the beauty of it, because, again, it is a Masters, so you have all these ex-Masters winners that are going to come back, which brings me to storyline numero dos, which is something you mentioned earlier, and it's the Big Cat is back.
Big Cat.
It's the first major championship of the season. As we know, Tiger Woods is now only playing in the major tournament, so we're only really going to see him 4 times a year, maybe
this
5.
Is his tournament.
And he's won the Masters multiple times. We're going to get to see him play. You know, we haven't seen him play in a little while now. So the Big Cat is back. All eyes are on him. Yeah, we have the Live versus PGA drama. Some people, you know, might even argue, like, Joel, the main storyline is Tiger's back, because I'm not going to be watching for those players. Right. I'm going to be looking to see what happens with Tiger and what he does.
Right.
So that in and of itself is a huge storyline. Is, can he win again? Can he win another one in a place he's won countless times?
He owns that place, dog. Because besides being like who he is, right? Black Asian, you know, from ethical backgrounds, whatever. Tiger Woods, right, was the loud guy, the fist pumping guy, the guy from Nike, the guy who's in your face, the guy who is going to go out there and not only beat you, but smash you and embarrass you in front of people over and over and over again, right? So for him to be so dominant in that one arena, which is the Masters, which is their hallowed ground of golf, just shows you like how important he is to the game. And you and I have had countless conversations about his like impact on the game, dog. And I told you that he's everybody's champion, you know, because a lot of people even started watching golf, even put their kids around golf because of Tiger Woods and the impact that he had. You know what I mean? Like I've told you, like, he's bigger than Jack. He's bigger than all of those guys.
It's funny. That's funny that you mentioned that. So how many green jackets Tiger has?
I think it's 6, 7.
He has 5.
5.
There's a guy that has 6.
Jack? Yeah. And imagine him wins it.
And that's why he needs it. Like, he needs to win. Like,
he needs to win.
Like, not even so much for that, but because of like the major title record, because Jack holds that over him as well.
True.
But you know, so that, like, you know, like it's all of those storylines around Tiger. You know what I mean? Like,
he's the man.
He's already better than Jack. You know, we're not even gonna say arguably. Like, our generation is gonna say that because Jack Nicklaus was even before that. So it's like,
right.
You know, yeah. Well, Wilt Chamberlain has 11, 10 world titles, right?
Right.
Or not? Was it?
No, he's 11.
Wilt,
he's 11. No, Wilt Chamberlain.
No, I'm thinking
Bill Russell
Bill Russell
has 10.
Yeah, 10 NBA titles or something like that. But it's like Jordan's the GOAT. You know what I mean? Or LeBron is the GOAT.
The tallest guy at 6'7", 6'8".
Correct. So, you know what I mean? It's like, all right, cool. Like, yeah, that's one thing. But like, Tiger transcended the game.
Absolutely.
And he's back, baby. So we get to see him there.
He's the man.
And if I had a third storyline to throw in there, just because it's better to do things in threes, can Scotty repeat?
That would be super hard. That's hard as fuck to do, right? Like to repeat any type of PGA championship, but to do the Masters back to back, dog, that's like legendary type shit, dog. And Cam's one of those guys that, yeah, he's in the LIV tournament, but he's also a top tier golfer, and we've seen him beat people who are at their absolute best. When he's on his thing and firing on all cylinders, he's one of the best in the world, dog. So he can easily repeat. But it's just a matter of...
Did you say Cam Smith?
No. What's the other dude?
It's Scotty Scheffler, who I was talking about.
No, you said Cam.
No, I said Scotty. I'm pretty sure we got it on tape. But if I didn't, then I meant Scotty Scheffler.
Scotty,
because he's who won the Masters last year. But
you did say Cam.
All right. Maybe
we'll check the tape, dog.
Yeah, maybe you just heard that, but I'm pretty sure I know who won back last year. So that's why I was saying. Anyways, but that's why you confused me. You said Cam Smith. But yes, Cam Smith can win, but he's been quiet, dog. We have ever since the move over to LIV after winning the Open, at the old course in St. Andrews last year. Really haven't seen much from Cam Smith. We haven't had an opportunity to see him. Really, we haven't seen him in any of the big tournaments, the Players Championship or any of that stuff. But we have our opportunity to see what kind of form he's in now. So I'm excited for that. But Scotty, he's been playing some good golf, battling it out with Ron for world number 1 and with Rory. And if he can go back to back, he'll be the first player to do it since
Big Cat
Tiger Woods in 01, 02.
I got my money on Big Cat. Anytime he's in those type of tournaments, I'm always gonna fucking root for that guy.
So prediction wise, that's both of our dark horse, right? We got to consider.
Bro, he's my pick.
Oh, okay, he's your pick.
He's my pick.
All right.
I don't got a dark horse.
You don't got just going out.
Just going Tiger.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know who I like in this tournament, man.
I wouldn't be surprised if Scotty won, though.
I wouldn't be. It would not surprise me if he won this tournament. It would not, bro. The way that guy's been playing right now, it's been amazing. But there's been, man, I wouldn't be surprised if like Jordan wins there. You know what I mean? Like he's big John Rahm. Like I can see John Rahm, winning right now.
For sure.
I can see Tiger, dog. I can see Tiger doing it. Who knows Augusta better than Tiger, dog?
Nobody. I told you that's his tournament.
Who knows those greens like that guy?
Nobody. That guy again has owned that course.
If his driver is on this week,
he's winning the tournament.
Forget about it, bro. If he's able to stay out of trouble and minimize the penalties. And what I mean by penalties, not just lost balls, but like behind shit, having shit like tough
bounds, stuff like
if
that.
you can keep yourself, in play, dog. I
gotta break the course record, but just be up there.
I'm not putting. Bro, I can't count them out. You can't count them out, dog. You cannot count them out.
Never. It's gonna be a great tournament for sure. Something to definitely watch. And if you watch Sports with SoSo on Instagram, I give you 3 things to watch every day. So,
bang.
You're not going to miss that one.
You're going to be up there.
You're not going to miss that one. It's time to talk Marlins now, briefly, because they still haven't earned my respect. Opening day, lost, cool, and then
so the
5-3.
So for those who don't know, the season has officially started.
Correct.
And we have...
Like, for real.
We have... The Marlins have not found out.
No.
At least not yet, really.
They're still in, like, spring training mode.
Yeah, that's kind of what it feels like.
You know what I mean? Like, they're still getting the kinks out and figuring out the lineup and shit. But these guys have gone to a record of 1-3 to start their first 4 games of the season. Typical of Marlins. And even in the home opener, we're down 3-0, and then boom, Garrett Cooper, beast, hits a big-ass bomb in the 6th inning. But same old Marlins. Get to that point where we tie the game up, rely on your bullpen, and guess what they do? They give it up like a $2. Yeah, you know what I mean. But like they just give it up, and that's what they needed to fix in the offseason, and they really didn't do that. And even in the trade for when we traded Pablo Lopez, like I told you, I thought that we were going to get some type of arm in return if we did make that deal, and we didn't even get that. But yeah, they get the bounce back win, second game of the season, 2-1. Jazz, Jorge Soler, both hit home runs in the one of them in the 8th. And Jorge Soler's home run was kind of more of like an energy thing, right? Because he had just made a big play in the outfield against Starling Marte, ex-Marlin. and kind of robbed them of a base hit that probably would have put the Mets ahead. And, you know, he feeding off that energy, comes up to bat in the 8th and hits a fucking beautiful fucking home run to put ourselves ahead. And I know we have a lot of expectations for a guy like him, right? Because we trade for him. He's supposed to be a big bat and be our home run guy. But I think that he's finally settling in, and he may be able to do that. You know, I was talking with John the other day, and he was like, no, we need at least 4 or 5 guys to hit 30 home runs. I'm like, man, that's asking a lot.
That's asking a lot, dog.
You know, if we can get 2 people to hit 30 home runs that are not named Jazz.
Baby steps, right?
Right? That are not named Jazz. If you can get 2 of those guys to hit over 30 home runs that are not named Jazz, I feel like that team just instantly becomes better, because then Jazz doesn't feel like he has to be the home run guy. He was our home run guy last year, dog. You know, he was our biggest bat, our most powerful bat. You name it. It was him. But now we have other guys in place, you know, that should be able to carry that load. Jorge Soler has been here. He should be able to carry that load and should be one of those potential for 30 home runs a season.
Yeah.
I mean, why not? You know? But then again, you go out there and you lose the next 2 games by a combined score of 11-3. You lose 6-2. You lose 5-1.
That's ass whoopings in baseball.
Those are ass whoopings in baseball. And those are the things that, as a Marlins fan, right, whether you're a hardcore Marlins fan, on the fence Marlins fan, low-key Marlins fan, I only watch on TV Marlins fan, right? You have to be a little bit intrigued about what this team can offer, because, yeah, when you look at the lineup, you're like, bro, it's not bad. It's not a bad lineup. It should be able to win games. And technically, we have one of the hottest hitters in baseball right now in Luis Arraez.
With the one shining light in this so far.
Right now. He's only 4 games in, but this dude's killing him. You know, he's batting 9 of 16 on his first 4 games. Like,
well, remind people about Arraez, where we got him, how we got him.
We got him in the trade, dog.
Just this offseason.
Yeah, you know, and
so see a return so quick is always reassuring.
Yes, but
even when we're losing,
this is the long man's game. You know,
absolutely.
And batting over 500 or it's very hard to do.
No, that's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen.
But it's good to see that guy is not in spring training. He's season ready.
He's already. Season ready.
You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
Now we just kind of need the rest of the guys to kind of shake off the rust.
And it sucks. You know, it sucks because there's definitely going to be a lot of learning curves. Like even in the third game that we lost 6-2, like they scored an extra 2 runs on Jazz's error in the center field, right? Where he thought he had a good read on the ball. He misjudged it, didn't really get there in time, and then boom, the ball's getting behind him. Meanwhile, these guys are clearing the bases. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot of learning curves for him out there in the center field. Can he do it? Yeah, of course, he's talented, but you're going to get those odd games where he makes an error and then it's going to be hard to bounce back because we don't have that powerful lineup. Or even more so because we don't have a reliable bullpen that can even keep the game close to 1 or 2 runs, where we can probably tie up the game with a 2-run homer or something like that, or go ahead with a 2-run homer. Those things can manifest themselves, and there's ways to manufacture runs in baseball. That's definitely a thing. So I don't know why these Marlins struggle. I'm sure people can point at the new coach, Schumacher, and seeing what he has, and, you know, a relatively real young coach to be in the majors. Marlins are definitely not worried about how it looks, right? Because there's never been a team about the optics. They're kind of been a ride by our coattails type thing and try to get by. They have to find a way to make this team competitive. It's not going to be enough for this team to be in games. This team is going to have to win games to get people's attention. Unfortunately, we've talked about it plenty of times. Like, this is a winning town. There's an expectation of winning games in order for me to pay attention to you. Absolutely. Not because I don't want to pay attention to you.
No.
But I need to see winning. That's what we're about down here, dog. You know? And it doesn't matter if you're watching Inter Miami, if you're watching the Marlins, if you're watching the Dolphins, Hurricanes, volleyball, soccer. It doesn't matter, dog. It's winning.
Yeah.
You know, even in the tennis.
You're taking the time to watch, you know, to view.
Yeah.
You want to see a winning product.
You want to see a winning product.
And, fans don't want to hear us talk about losing teams either. So
no, but we got to give it to them a little bit at least, dog. This year is going to be different. The
season just started. We owed you that. We're going to keep tabs on this Marlin team. But,
Two things to look out for. Cueto's home debut, right? We got a 3-game series against the Minnesota Twins coming up. Go out there, and then we're flying back to New York City to face the Mets on the weekend. So that's like the Friday, Saturday, Sunday series. Let's see. right? Still early. I still think that there's a lot of talent on this team. They just got to find where they fit in as far as lineup goes, and then just getting comfortable and producing hits. Forget about the home runs. Just produce hits. Yeah, we'll get by on that.
So if you're listening or watching, don't worry. We'll let you guys know when to tune in. We're gonna keep tabs on it for you. We'll keep you guys posted, and we'll let you know when it's worthy of your time.
Yeah. But this is definitely worthy of your time.
Hammer time.
UFC 287 at the Miami Arena, and your boy SoSo's gonna be in the building.
That's crazy, dog.
Crazy.
I can't believe I just found out about that.
What? I could have sworn I told you.
You
dog.
never told me, dog. I thought I told you that somebody hit me up, right?
Yes,
for tickets and all that whole mess or whatever.
Yes. We talked about
like
that.
Where he was trying to sit, it was like way too out of my price range, and
I mean,
I was like, nah, I'm not gonna do that right now because I had this trip and all that stuff.
It's got to be in the budget.
So I was like, nah. But finding out you're going. Look at that little mishap here on set. That's awesome, bro. I can't believe that. That's really cool that you're getting to go.
Yeah, dog, and it's gonna be a full squad. I got Sergio with me, Dolphins with me, and who else? Oh, Joel too, the other Joel. Gonna be a nice little squad out there. I know a couple of people going out there. Devin's going out there. My boy Adam is going out there. It's gonna be a dope crowd. It's gonna be a dope crowd.
It's hype. It's gonna be hype.
It's gonna be super hype, and the card itself is amazing, right? Because this is Alex Pereira versus Israel Adesanya 4. Because they fought twice in kickboxing, and then they have that rematch.
UFC, this is the second matchup. The second matchup. And we know that Adesanya is out to regain his title back.
Big time, man. Because the way he lost the fight was like definitely disheartening, right? You lose getting beat up, that kind of sucks. And Alex definitely found a way to bounce back in that fight to dominate a guy like Adesanya, who's a beast, right? But Adesanya also knocked him out pretty much in the first round. And if it had been for another 3-5 seconds, he probably would have finished him, and then they would have called the fight, and it would have been a first round TKO. So for Israel, he's definitely looking at it like, dog, you barely got by me, and yeah, you got me because I thought the fight was over. But I know that I'm better than you. And this dude, Alex Pereira, is a monster, dog. I don't know how he fights at this middleweight weight, dog. I've seen pictures of this dude, and he weighs like 200 pounds, like 190 pounds on the regular.
He cuts down.
Dog, that's a crazy cut.
That's what these guys do, bro. They're professionals. They're not professional fighters. They're just professional cutters who happen to fight.
Yeah, dog. That's a weird thing to me, dog.
It is. It's very, very odd. And like Rogan always talks about that. You know, about like the UFC needs to make more weight classes and like stop that like dehydration shit so that people fight at their like regular walk around weight. Right. But it is what it is, bro. And you play the game. And Pereira, he's playing the game. He knows how to do it right. He's a beast, though. My concern though is I don't know if this is too soon for this fight. I don't know if that's been brought up before, but I feel like the first one was rather recent. Right. And then for a guy like Izzy, for him, what's his mind state going into this fight? He wants revenge, he wants blood, but is that gonna muddy up the waters for him? And then is he gonna or is he gonna be what we've known him to be before, which was a precise killer?
True. I think for him, he has to show, this fight has to be a showcase of how good he is. Right? It can't be about what happened, because technically Pereira has the advantage on that. He's beating him 3 or at least 2 out of the 3 times. The other one was like a bullshit draw or whatever. But he's beating him the other 2 times, clearly. And the last fight was another clear victory where he pretty much ended the fight, right? The referee had to step in and stop the fight. When that happens to you, you either become a lot stronger and you bounce back, or you let that change you and you're never able to get back to that level. I don't think Izzy has been that type of guy to say, oh, I'm not going to be able to achieve that. If on the contrary, I think that he knows very well that he's a dangerous guy in that octagon. He can definitely land up. He's definitely strong enough and has that knockout power to finish a guy like Pereira. And I think he can do it. And I see him becoming the champ again. Maybe not necessarily by a first round knockout, but he's definitely going to go in there a little bit heavier, right? Make the weight cut and then go in there a little bit heavier instead of staying at the weight, just to not necessarily meet whatever Alex is doing, but just to be prepared for a war, right? Because it could be a 5-round war.
It's going to be a great fight.
It's going to be a great fight.
I honestly do expect this to go the distance, bro.
Yeah, I wouldn't surprise me.
I don't think that this, you know, I don't think, not that I wouldn't put it past either one of these two fighters to either submit one of them, you know, or something, or knock each other out.
Right.
But I just feel like these two guys, like, you know, they're just going to go the distance.
If I had to bet money, I'd probably bet money on the distance, right? But
there's two savvy guys, bro. These are vets. These are pros.
For sure,
you know,
for sure.
And they got history, so they're gonna be very careful about what they let up and what they let the other guy work with. You know,
1,000%. And that's why if I had an extra $50, I'd probably put it on a Adesanya knockout, where he gets a knockout and finishes Alex in maybe the first 3 rounds, first 4 rounds, even, right? But that would be where I would think that would be the dynamic. You know, Israel stepping up to make sure he gets his knockout back and kind of put an end to the beef or whatever.
Yeah, well, that's the main event, man. We know that's going to be electric, but
that's the co-main event, in my opinion, dog.
The co-main event is almost like a main event, man.
It is the main event, dog.
We got the hometown kid, man. We got Game Bread
Masvidal versus Gilbert Burns, the killer.
Now, I'm hearing rumblings that Masvidal don't stand a chance.
Yeah, dog, but like,
because you know, we know Burns is a monster. He's big. He's got power.
Yes, real knockout power. Like, touch you once and lights are off.
We haven't really seen much from Masvidal in his last 4 fights.
True, it hasn't been to the level of the hype, right? Because he had that knockout of Ben Askren, and it was like, damn, this dude's about to go on a run.
It's gone down after that, though.
It's gone down after that.
Who's he fought since then?
He's fought
Usman.
Twice. One on short
notice, which was the better of the fights.
Right.
Like, you know, because
of course, the second fight he got knocked out.
He got rocked. He got steamrolled the second fight.
Knocked out.
Then he comes back and he fights, was it Colby?
And he lost to Colby.
Colby rocked him too.
Yeah, he did. He hurt him. But he didn't knock him out.
No, but
they went the distance.
Yeah, but he messed him up.
He stood up with him.
And what is it? This is now the next fight now? So it's like the trend is not heading in the right direction right now for Masvidal, but I love the guy. I just heard him on Rogan the other day. I love that episode. He sounds good. He sounds confident. He was walking through the Usman fight and that whole situation and stuff. I didn't get far enough to see if he spoke about the Colby fight.
He did.
Or getting, you know, or whatever, but he definitely talked about getting knocked out. He was like, I've never been knocked out before. Like, that changed my mentality. Maybe that affected him going into that Colby fight and he's in a better place now. I'm not going to put it past him. Like, you know, I've heard some people like, oh, he doesn't stand a chance. I disagree. This
definitely stands a chance.
You talk about a veteran of the game, like a student veteran of the game. Like, this dude's been doing this for 20 years now.
Is that people just think that he's a knockout guy or a street baller because that's how he was put on the map. But you got to understand that this dude's been doing MMA for a good portion of his life. You know, even as a young punk, 18 years old, 19 years old, he was still in the gym training. Maybe he wasn't as smart with his training at that time, but he was in there training. He was in there taking it serious. You know what I mean? So I just think that Game Bread always has that shot. And my biggest takeaway from that interview, right, was that he did take time away from the knockout, right? Because his last fight was the Usman fight. He got knocked out and he said, you know what? I'm not going to jump back in the ring. I'm going to take some time to center myself. And even after that, that's when he had the run in with Colby and him getting arrested and all that shit. So I felt like Masvidal did the right thing, stepped away from the game, really prioritized what's going on in his life, created his circle, and then started to venture out to get back into his training and get back into that right mental state that you need to be at to face a guy like Gilbert Burns, because Gilbert Burns is not only riding a winning streak, dog, but this is a dude who has won the belt.
He's a contender.
He won the belt, right? It was an interim title, but he won it and has always been in the ring with top 3 guys. Either the champion, losing to the champion. He lost to Usman twice. Like, he got cut up. And he's always been that guy that finishes anybody else who thinks that they're a contender to the championship. Because he's like, hey, dog, if you're not good enough for me, you're definitely not good enough for these guys. Masvidal is a different animal. And I think that he is taking this fight serious. Fighting at home is always a bigger, you know, weight on your shoulders, in my opinion. Like, you know how many people are hitting this guy up for tickets? Hey, hook me up with a t-shirt. Yo, give me a shout out. Unless you have a real tight circle and unless you're really focused on what's going on with your fight game, right? And what you got in front of you, there's no way you come out of that. And I think that this fight is going to be that fight for George, dog, where he's back on the map, you know, and he does it here in his hometown. and he gets the win.
He doesn't have many left, so this would be a big one in his backyard, in his hometown in Miami, where it all started for him.
You got to put on a show, dog.
This would be epic.
You got to put on a show, dog. And the fight night is full of good cards, man. You got Kevin Holland fighting. He's fighting, what's this guy's name? Ponzimbino. I can't pronounce these freaking names, dog.
Yeah.
Santiago is what I call him, dog.
There you go.
That's his name.
Keep it short.
You have Rob Font facing Adrian Yanez. And then in the first fight of the evening on the main card, you have the 18-year-old, bro, Raul Rosas Jr. from Mexico making his debut down here in the 305.
Well, no, he's already made his debut.
Yeah, he's already made his debut. He's making his debut here.
Right. But yeah, he won his debut fight. This is now his second fight. Can he follow it up and remain undefeated?
Dog, you know what it is to be that
18 years old
and professional UFC fighter, dog.
That's unheard of.
That's
wild. Really never been done.
That's wild, dog. But let's see, man. And, he's up against a tough opponent.
But that shows you what the UFC is doing. You know what I mean? They're taking chances. And shout out to the UFC's parent company who just bought out WWE.
Yes, sir.
And now they're a, $20 billion company or something like that?
Something like that. Crazy, something like,
dog.
in case you're into that stuff.
Crazy, son.
Yeah. But you know what's crazy? How long we've taken on this podcast, dog.
It's about time, right?
It's about time. Thanks for hanging in there. But it was full of good content, so there's no way that this felt like a long ride, dog.
I think we properly updated everybody. I think we gave everybody what they came here for.
Absolutely.
Like always.
And we got one more thing to ask of you guys, and that's to tell a friend.
To tell a friend.
To tell one more friend.
To tell another friend.
About this amazing podcast, y'all. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss what we got going on.
If you like South Florida sports, this is the place to tune in.
Tune in, man. We got you locked in. Tell a friend. Until next time.
Peace.